Yay, Pirita, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you so
So
much for
happy.
inviting me.
It's a pleasure. So we're going to jump right in. Can you please introduce yourself? Who are you and what do you do?
So my name is Pirita Tuisku, and I'm from Finland, and I'm based here in Edinburgh. I've been here living now 9 years, and I call myself a dance artist. But inside of that, I do kind of a little bit of everything. I love performing, the dance performance part of it, and I love creating shows, so the choreographing side of it. And I love teaching, and then now also the kind of the coaching side has been something the past 5 years that I've been really enjoying to do.
Thank you. That's really in a nutshell. I know you do many things, so we'll explore that a bit more. So, Pirita, a question that I ask everyone on the podcast is when did you first know that you're a creative? Have you always seen yourself as a creative, or was there a specific moment where you started seeing yourself as a creative?
Yeah, I think I always like to think that it's always been inside of me. Like, from really young age, I have said to my mom that I have two professions that I really want to go. It's either that I'm going to be a dancer or that I'm going to be a flight attendant. And
Oh,
so
really?
the flight attendant was still quite a long time. Was like, should I still change? Like, I love traveling, so I thought maybe it was the other choice. But I kind of soon, because I've been dancing of all of my life, quite as soon it was like how much fun it was creating your own little dances, and so that kind of creativity was so much there. But also when you're kind of grown up in a small city, really away from the big metropolitans, so you don't get to experience so much of different things. So kind of
Mhm.
like being an artist felt like, can it really be a profession? So it was more like, oh, if I want to go with dance, it should be like a dance teacher. So but I still, that creativity was something that I wanted to pressure, like keeping on my hands, and it's like something I really treasure a lot, to
Mm,
create and build these little worlds that can somehow resonate with people. So I think
mhm,
it's from the young age.
okay. And I meet you today, and you're doing so many different things. You've recently been nominated for. You've been on the shortlist for the Creative Edinburgh Development Awards. So there's been some recognition for your journey up until now, and I'm curious about what has led to all of the things that you're doing now. When did you start your business, and what has been the journey for you to get to this point where you're doing all these creative things?
Mm. So it feels really honored to be being shortlisted, especially on this year, as today this year 2025 became my 20 years working in dance. So it really felt like it's a huge honor to be amongst of these finalists and being amongst of like recognition from the creative sector, because it hasn't been an easy journey. And I know that I started quite young, and it was first more kind of the teaching side, and then it kind of expanded. I built my first dance company when I was 20, and then it kind of just kind of grown and grown and grown. And I think because my biggest question was always that how to bring or build a place that we can just bring the dance closer to the people. Like I
Mhm.
mentioned, that I grew up in a city called Rovaniemi, which is kind of the Santa Claus city where all the tourists go during the Christmas. But like, yeah, there wasn't not much of a dance side of it, and I felt like even if you wanted to somehow to dance, it was like just kind of competition side of like, but dance should be being chance to experience in so many different ways. So from that age, I always kind of had that big drive of how can I build something that I can bring dance closer to everybody, because
Mhm.
it belongs to everybody, not just a certain
Mhm.
people, not just a certain age, not just a certain bodies, and that you can also do it differently. Not just that, okay, I kind of hate this sentence like, oh, dance is just my hobby. What does it mean? It's like if you love dancing, you can perform on the stage. If like there's nothing to stop.
Mm,
But I think those opportunities are also really rare. So that's why I always wanted to see how can I do it. And I was working a lot with different schools, but then it always kind of go against with this nature of we kind of bringing in this. So many dance schools are going into this direction that we kind of put people according how much they can do, who is good, who is like being good in this their box, what they want to see. And I just wanted to create a safe and inclusive space. And that's
mm,
where I built my first school, because I was just so fed up of this kind of nature, the kind of toxic field in dance,
mhm,
where I experienced a lot when I was growing up.
mhm,
I've never been the smallest dancer. So yeah, I always kind of heard that as well. So I just
mhm,
wanted to find that place, and with my first company, it was lovely that it became like a dance home, and it
mhm,
dance family, and we created shows. Like I choreographed every year two to three different shows and performances. People had a chance to explore that performative side as well. So it kind of like led from there to when I moved here to just to think of more, how can I open this field more? Because the other side, what I was always interested was the cultural side,
mhm,
because dance is the universal language. We all
mhm,
dance, and it's something that is so common in all of our cultures.
mhm,
And but as kind of growing up in a small city, I didn't have that much chance to kind of explore it. So I always wanted to go internationally and explore that culture side. And now I have had a chance to do it. And that's kind of led what I'm doing now the past 5 years with my new program, to build these borders, almost like
mhm,
breaking them in a way of getting people chance to just dance wherever
mhm,
you
mhm,
are and whatever you want to do with it, and meet people even when you never thought that you have a chance to meet them, or
mhm,
go where you ever thought that you wouldn't have a chance to go.
mm. Thanks, Pirita. Wow, you've said so much, and um, as you're talking, I'm remembering an experience as a young person, also doing ballet. I did ballet as a young person and experiencing exactly what you mentioned there, this kind of competition and where you become very self-critical also of your own body and the way that you move. Whereas what I'm hearing from you is that you want to create this really open experience, fun, place where people can, where there's self-expression and acceptance of the way that you move. And you also mentioned the cultural element. Um, I can take the conversation in so many different directions. I think what's coming to mind perhaps is also your personal experience of being with Tabu, who's also from South Africa,
Mm.
and I've recently been to Finland, so there's that interesting intersection, and all of us finding ourselves now in Edinburgh, a different country to where we grew up. Now you mentioned the cultural experience of dance as well. And I recently attended your show that you're doing with Tabu, Beautiful Chaos, where I saw elements of that. The way that you two move differently, but then also move together. Talk a little bit about that, perhaps. Your how do all these things come together for you?
Yeah, it's been really lovely when I went the second time to South Africa, which was always my dream to go there. And when I went there second time, I was because I was working with these South Africans, and when I met Tabo, my husband, and I just like everything just clicked, because I've been like so long time I have been just hoping to find, even not just my my personal personal side, but work side as well, like the partner that I can create these things what I want to create, and the topics that I want to have more these conversations with. And meeting Tabu was like everything just clicked on that moment. Like, yeah, okay, now I finally found this person. So he's a spoken word and poet, writer. So our practices are different, but then bringing these two practices together was a really amazing experience. And we've created now, oh my gosh, we've been creating so much that I've kind of lost the count how much we've done. But we've done now 3 different shows, if I'm not calculating it wrong. And these beautiful chaos have been our kind of I kind of call it our baby, because it kind of started when we met. It was a piece idea that I had in my mind a lot about talking about our cultural differences in different people when we come on different cultures, but also the similarities. And because I think in so much in dance or anything, we're so talking and looking at the differences. And yeah, they're really important that we are talking about them. It's not brushing them under the carpet. Racism is there. It's not saying it's not. But it's also of letting people to kind of stop in their own way of like, okay, wow, what are the beautiful sides of everything as well? And how can I change perhaps my language or attitude towards different people? And that's why we're kind of building these worlds now with Tabo, that, yeah, we're talking with kind of 2 different languages in so many ways, that we have the dance side. And even inside that dance, there is so many different languages, because my language is different than his language with the dancing. And then the poetry side. So it is of that same thing of creating this really diverse pool of things, so that people could just take something and nurture that little seed for themselves and see where it can grow. And that's what the beautiful chaos has been. A really long process over 5 years, and we have had visa issues, we have had pandemic putting it on a hold. So finally get on that stage of that, we premiered it, and hopefully now taking it in the tour and continue these conversations. And I think it's really lovely that when I met Tabu, that I found that person who is helping me to have this conversation. It's similar with the dance or the cultural aspect of, I always wanted to find that person who's going to help me to have these conversations, because like in dance, like you said, unfortunate side, like I could say the most of the people who I have in my classes, who I have in my program, my coaching clients, all of have had negative experience in dance, which has stopped them to dance. Or they have had a negative experience going to see some little bit of a different show, or like something art. Like people are like, oh, I don't understand it, I don't want to go, I feel a little bit stupid. Or people have said like, or somebody even called it stupid if they didn't understand something. So I think that we're building these barriers for people to experience the art in different forms, and that's what I just want to raise up these conversations and hopefully break these barriers.
That's so wonderful. So make it more accessible. And what I loved about your show was at the end you invited the audience into conversation. And so it really felt like in some way we were becoming a part of what you're doing. It didn't feel like there was this barrier, and I really loved that. So we're talking about your passion for what it is that you do, what led to you being at this place in time. So on the one hand, there's the passion and the joy and the reason for why you're doing what you're doing. And on the other hand, there's the business element, keeping the business going. And I like to talk to creatives about how do you find that balance between keeping the creative energy alive while at the same time putting on your business hat and managing the admin side of the business. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's been a 9 years of journey to change everything. I was gonna say like 9 years ago when I moved here, my kind of all in my practice kind of had a new chapter, a new life, as I woke up that I was badly burned out, creatively, physically, mentally. I have also got diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and it's like my life was just falling apart, and I just didn't know how to put it together anymore. And what scared me the most was that I started to lose my passion with dance, and I just didn't understand why. And I am really an energetic person, and I like doing a lot of things, and most of the biggest critic from the start when I was even in dance school and kind of university of studying, it was like, no, you can't do everything. I'm like, yeah, why not? I love doing it all. Like, why we have to choose? That's been like the biggest thing of like my whole career of building this toy is like everybody's like, no, you can't dance all of those dance styles. You have to choose if you want to be good at on something, or like, well, but they're all part of me. Of course, I can't be the coach and the teacher and the performer and choreographer at the same time.
Mm.
So the kind of the balance was with my own first company, which ended up to be in a kind of, I think it's a big school. We had over 300 students and 16 other
Mm.
teachers, but I was running it alone. And I had amazing teacher team and really lovely students, but I was really running it alone because I couldn't find a good partner, or that somebody would want to step in as much as I was stepping it in. And I can understand because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of
Mhm.
work to do it. And I have to say that Finnish government is not making it easy to small entrepreneurs or artists to do things. So that
Mm.
side is another part. But everything what I did with it, and I've been just kind of looking it back and changing in all of the things that I felt that was not working. And I think my biggest, well, I want to thank myself a lot is that I'm considering myself a learner. I don't know everything, and I don't want to know everything, but I want to always learn. So I had to build for my burnout this little kind of question package almost, that from is it a busier time or anything, or I do it weekly, that I ask myself, well, what was the thing that made me smile? What was the thing that really worked?
Mhm.
And I use the language a lot. Like I had to change the language because I think because I've studied also business, and it
Mhm.
gets so focused on how much you are making, how much, like the language is not serving you, which I think of some of the artists feel a little bit intimidated to think about the entrepreneur side because the language is really hard
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
way that it doesn't, you don't feel creative. And I always felt when I was doing my business studies, I'm like, it's like slowly bits of my creativity was dying because how these people are seeing all of this is really boring and they're making it really difficult, and it's not that difficult. So I had to change the language a lot of what's making me smile on that day or that week, what didn't make me smile, what was a bit frustrating, what didn't work, and then what's the one little thing that I'm going to do different next time. And all of those little things have been turning into these learnings, or I have found little bit of new tools that I can use now just to maintain it better. Because when I moved here, I made myself a promise that I don't want to be in that dark place anymore. And I don't want
Mhm.
to be feeling that way, that I don't have lost my passion with dance. That was the scariest thing because I know that dance has always been, it's like my best friend. I always say it's like my best friend who is there when I need it. And it challenges me when I need it to be challenged. So but it has also saved me so much. So I knew that if I lose that now, like what do I have? And also getting kind of groans was a huge learning curve because I was so scared. Like what, how can I do this all with groans now? Like I barely can some days move. So it was really scary place. So kind of building these questions, and then I started to look on different other tools and courses and kind of building a little bit different methods for myself that I can do this work sustainably. And I always say that for me that means that I'm putting my time, my energy and my finances on the right places and the right time.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that's where I don't know, the pandemic was not a great time for many and it's not a good thing, but for me it was a good thing. For me it gave the solution what I have been waiting and I've been wondering, how can I do this all? Because I want to keep sharing my knowledge. I want to keep sharing all the parts that I had to learn through my own body, of my own injuries, through my own negative experiences, all of these little tools that had helped me to get out of my depressions and on those darker times. And I was like, I want to share this, but I know I can't be everywhere. I don't want to be burned out again. And I still want to create. I still want to make shows, and I still want to perform. So how can I do this all? And then the kind of the pandemic hit, and it's like, oh, well, there's the answer. um, the horrible thing, but they're kind of the where I build the app, and then our Groove Back program, which is now also been 5 years, and it's been lovely to see that those people who started with me 5 years are still with us, most of them, and I'm being able to now do the work that I honestly want to do. And not to say that, of course, it's always that balancing act. And things have been grown so much also in the 5 years that I had to start to notice like a new way how to balance this all.
Mm. I think that's important, yes, because the growth will happen. And
Yeah.
so it's like constantly having to check, okay, where are we? What do we need? And it sounds like you often go back to those questions that you ask yourself, and that's a way for you to kind of keep yourself in check.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for sharing that. It's such important work that you did, and I love how you frame it as the fact that you're a learner. I love how that's where you started, and then you started unpacking what it is that you learned, and how you're still applying it today. And I really think so many people will relate to that and find it so helpful.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing. I wanted to know what are your go-to practices currently? What are your almost non-negotiables every week that helps you stay healthy and run your business in a sustainable way?
Well, I'm going to kind of put it in maybe with the three different things what I do a lot. The first thing is really the health of the body, and so I move daily, and that movement sometimes it is more on the dancing side. Sometimes it's more my aerial wall yoga. So I do yoga with the hammock at home, go upside down, like running or walking or any kind of mini movements. But the movement is every day, and so that's something of like what keeps me going. And it's not because I think so much of before it was like you need to be training this and this many hours in a day that you can be good. It's not about hours, it's just that you can be consistent with it. So even if it's a little bit, even if it's a 5 minutes for that day, it's better than nothing. So that is a one huge part that I'm investing all the time, that I don't give up on it. So even if I'm sick, I will still do some little mini movements that is just supporting my body to recover. So that side is another, and which is also looking everything that I eat healthy, and by not being obsessive with it, but looking a lot what do I put in my mouth. And then it's the mind side of all of this, of yes, asking these questions, and there are a few other kind of what I put it inside it more with the movement as well. So having a little bit of a different practices. Is it then improvisation through dance, or I do some little creative things going when I do my walks, I go into this little creative practices, or then that I like doing a little bit more handicrafty stuff that it's for my mind to just to be creative, that I can restore that creativity and help
Mm.
my mind to settle down when I feel anxiety. So the creativity is my therapy in those moments.
Mm.
But it also needs that investment all the time, that if I notice that I'm not investing it almost daily on those little things, it's the same as the body will start saying it is not good. And then kind of more managing it, wearing all of these different hats in. And because yeah, my big goal is now to really help more people, because there is a way that we can feel healthier. And what I've seen so much, that people's health have been just kind of going down and down and down, and for younger people, and it really worries me. So I've been taking a huge kind of like, yeah, I want to be helping more people to find these little
Mm.
things that can just support them. So for me to be able to do that and not to get overwhelmed and burn out
Mm.
and put too much pressure on myself, I use a tool called Objectives and Key Results.
Mm.
And it's a tool that I kind of found way back, but and it's an old tool. It's not that I've invented it. It's an old tool that been used even with like Google. Before even Google became big, they have
Mm.
been using it. So it has a long history. How it's kind of looking at the analytics and how you kind of see your progress
Mm.
sharing that data. And when I was using it first time, there was kind of like downfalls that it didn't work. And then I started this one course when I started to build my app with a company called Passion.io, and they introduced the objectives and key results again. I'm like, okay, let's have a look, and like, if this can be the one that helps me to kind of plan my year and plan my months, plan my weeks, plan my days a little bit better, that I don't get overwhelmed and that I remember to have days off and that I just keep noticing also the direction, because I think as a creative you have all the time new ideas and I think it's a downfall. Like when we finish a project, I know my head is gonna go already on another thing. So this tool has also helped me to kind of
Mm.
harvest those things in a way
Mm.
that I don't start going in
Mm.
that mode of like, okay, I'm gonna start doing
Next
it now.
thing.
So and I've been using that tool
Mm.
now, and I share it for my clients, and
Mm.
I share it for everybody. Kind of like it has really helped us to build and grown with the program and what we want to do with our community. So
Mm.
it that's the kind of the bigger side that I do it there also daily, because it has the kind of the bigger things, then those bigger things are putting little bit small steps, and then the weekly are little bit small steps. So it's
Mm.
so
Break it down.
breaking it down, and that's,
Mm.
I think, it's
Mhm.
so much of the biggest learning I had to do from my first creative practice, and the part of my life with it and the business was that in so much in business we're talking about, let's make a year plan, let's make a 5-year plan, let's make a 10-year plan, but
Mm.
who knows who is alive in 10 years. And I
Mhm.
think it's like it's putting a lot of pressure on yourself.
Mm. And overwhelming.
It's overwhelming to think about 10 years.
Mm.
And then but nobody really well taught you those tools, how to react on those downfalls quicker.
Mhm.
And this tool has a little bit helped. And then of course the other questions, like I've been using it so much now that I have kind of noticed with even with my clients where are the downfalls. So I have built a different systems inside it so that people don't get into those downfalls. So there are a lot of kind of like a different question package that I kind of go always
Mm.
through, that is just helping people define it and reacting quicker.
Mhm.
That it
Mhm.
doesn't happen that few months and months and months like things are not working, and then
Mhm.
you burned out again, or
Mhm.
you are in a place where you didn't want to be, but
Mhm.
that you could catch that quicker.
Yeah, notice it.
Mm.
Absolutely. So what are those things for yourself? What are the warning signs that you've perhaps taken on too much, or you're not sustaining those practices, those go-to practices that are so important to you?
Really, the biggest one is starting to build. I've started to build the pressure on myself.
Mhm.
Is those nagging voices is I've been hearing through when I was growing up with dance, that I was not flexible enough, I was not strong enough, I was not small enough, or like I just never felt like I was enough, no matter what I did. So that is like the lingering thing, which I noticed that immediately when I start to go on that my old way of doing things, that's what
Mhm.
happened first. Like
Mhm.
I just feel
Mhm.
like I haven't done enough. I
Mhm.
I haven't
Mhm.
been good enough for them, or which then leads to another bigger downfall, which I think so many women can resonate, men as well, I think, but as women especially, is like we do so much things for others, but then the little things that we should we or should really do for ourselves, it's a miracle that we don't find that time or the energy to do it. But because if we just keep giving, there's nothing that we can really take back. So immediately when I'm noticing that everything what I'm thinking or planning or doing, I'm doing because of them. Is it then my students or anybody else, or like I just want to change now this toxic world in dance. I need to go back of like, what do I want? What do I need? And that's a huge thing of everything what I have built now. I have firstly asked the question, what do I want to do? What do I need from today? Even when I go and teach or I plan my classes or our programs, I always ask that same, what do I want to get from this today?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, and it never takes away that I know where I can see where my students are. But firstly, that thing needs to give me a lot,
Mm-hmm.
then that I have something else to give it forward.
That is so powerful, such a powerful shift from being focused on the other to recognizing what it is that you need. And when I work with clients, I also remind them that you are your business. And so unless you look after yourself, your business will not be sustainable. And it's such an important thing to learn and to know and continuously come back to.
Yeah.
So, Pirita, you've offered so much wisdom. Actually, I really think you've offered lots to reflect on, and I think people will really resonate to this conversation and take a lot from it. I have a final question for you. Just thinking back to when you first started the business, whether this one or the previous one in Finland, what advice would you offer for someone who is just starting out? Who are still in the early stages.
It's a little bit of the same. I was talking with my one of my students about it yesterday, that whatever we start building first, or even what we want to do first, if it's just like you want to build your creative practice, or you want to start something to do something new, we're focusing so much about what it is, when it's gonna be, how it's gonna look. um, but the real thing where we should be more focusing is more clarifying the biggest why, and not just that why you're doing it, but even more kind of mapping your own journey of what do you feel like you want to be talking about, what do you feel like you don't want to be talking about, what do you see the people who you're doing it for, what do you see that their downfalls are. So it's really going into more that base before even not thinking how it's going to look or what it is.
Thanks for sharing that. So why do you think that is important to ask those kind of questions right from the start?
I think it's just a similar way. Well, I had to realize like how I choreograph as well or create a show. I'm not thinking about how the show or the performance looks like, or how it's really gonna go, or where is it being, who is like. I don't picture it at all how it is. I start working on that idea first. So that little seed, and I do a lot of research. I might have a conversations. I might be with those conversation. I do some improvisation tasks in the studio or at home, and then collaborating, and it's building it a lot, that bigger base of what it is, what you want to be saying with it, how it can help, what's the solution, where would you like to see it. And it's all about these questions of keeping them open. And sometimes I hate it when in funding applications there's like, well, who is the audience, who do you want to talk to? But when you are in a new piece, that's what you want to figure out for your first R&D, research and development. I always want to go a little bit in an open-minded more. It's like, well, I don't know yet. This might be for kids, or it might be that it's for adults. I don't know yet. I want to dive into it. And that's why I think we are so more focused on what it is, how it's looking like, where it is, before we do all of the little nitty-gritty things first.
Thanks so much for what you shared, Perita. I really enjoyed our conversation. Is there anything you want to add in closing?
I would say for anyone thinking of building practice or their business, creative business, or people who have been doing it, I think the biggest thing is allow yourself to be a learner. Don't feel like you have to have everything figured out. Don't feel like you're not also allowed to talk about it. And I think it's so much I have taught myself to be really open about the challenges that I'm facing. And sometimes I feel like when you're talking about challenges you're facing, it seems somehow that you're less or that you don't know what you're doing. But I think that if you are really questioning things, then you're really knowing what you're doing. Because you're really in that place of learning to do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we all just follow some base, or we follow the society, how things should be going, or we follow somebody else's pathway, you kind of lost your own voice. So the biggest for myself has been always that, even with my clients, when they start, I say like, well, now I'm going to say this. Now, I don't know it all. And I'm not a superhuman. I do also mistakes. And so, but the most important part is that we stay open with our conversation. So if something doesn't work, let's talk about it. And that's I think what sometimes people, when they are any stage of their creative practice or anything of, we feel like if you are facing challenges that you're doing something wrong. But it's not about you. It's just that you just need to learn some on that moment. So I think it's that question what I keep on those moments that happening is like, what made me smile? Getting the brain more focused on the good things that is also going on. And then it's like, okay, what is not making me smile? And then what is the one little thing that I can do different?
Mm.
So I think those would be my last words.
Beautiful. I love how you talk about staying open and being open about your challenges. I think being on a journey of being both a creative and a business owner can be incredibly isolating and lonely, especially if you don't share how things are going and find your community. And we didn't actually talk about that a lot, but I can hear that you've got community, you've got support, and I think that's so important. And in some way, that's also part of having these conversations.
Yeah.
Just being open about what the journey is like and learning from each other.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because I think it's so much there's out there those moments when people have really made it, whatever that means for anyone. But it's like we talk about the highlights when things are good. And of course, we should celebrate them as well. But I always keep saying, and I'm really, really grateful that for these 5 years as I built my program, it was my passion to also build a community. And it is a worldwide. It's not just in Scotland. It's we connected from different countries as well. And then with these little retreats where we have now in South Africa,
exciting.
people are coming together, which has always been my big dream to
Mhm.
make it bigger and bigger. But
Mhm.
it's the thing of we get so lost in the hyped noises that when you're facing a challenge, you're thinking that you're doing so wrong because these all are somehow now making it happen. But you can only make it happen when you go through those challenges.
Mm.
And that's why
Absolutely.
I love the community that we have that, it's really lovely to hear when they are saying lovely things and giving a good feedback. But I always say like, those are the ones that give me strength. But then the ones that, well, they have find it challenging or they find it's not working for them or anything else, those are the ones that gives me the learning to make it even
Mhm.
better. And
Mhm.
that's why I just wanted to be better and helping more because the world keeps changing.
Thanks so much, Pirita. I think you do such important work, and it's really been lovely to hear more about you as a person and your journey up until now. And I look forward to continuing to see what you're up to and be part of your journey in some way. Thank you
Mm.
so much.
And thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.